My girlfriend said, "I don't owe you an explanation." I replied, "No revenge, just precedent." I packed, moved out before sunrise, shifted my half of the paycheck, left a note, and blocked her everywhere. Then a shared cloud screenshot from Jfire showed what her night out really meant. Welcome back to WZ Tales. In today's story, we explore what happens when one partner says freedom means no explanation, and the other decides to take that rule seriously. As you listen, notice the exact moment where you would have walked away. The last thread snapped at 11:07 on a Thursday night. I was on the couch with a book open on my lap, but I had not read a single page in almost an hour. The apartment felt too quiet, the kind of quiet that starts pressing against your chest when you have been waiting too long. Sarah had said she would be home by 10. Just a quick drink with the team, that was all. My text from earlier asking if everything was okay was still sitting there on read. Then the intercom buzzed. I pressed the button and heard her voice come through, already sharp around the edges. "Yeah, it's me. Let me up." 2 minutes later, the front door opened. She did not look like someone coming back from a casual work drink. She looked like she was on her way to somewhere louder. She was wearing a black dress I had never seen before, heels that were clearly not for a quiet weeknight, and makeup that looked touched up. There was a faint trace of cigarette smoke on her jacket mixed with expensive gin. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice steady. "How was it?" "Fine." That one word shut the door in my face before the real conversation even started. She tossed her clutch onto the kitchen counter and poured herself a glass of water. Her movements were quick and irritated, like my presence in the apartment was already a problem. The worry I had been carrying all evening started changing shape. It was still worry, but colder now, sharper. "You said 10, I told her. I got worried. She let out a long sigh, full of that tired annoyance people use when they want to make your concern sound unreasonable. It ran late. We lost track of time. "Who's we?" She paused with her back to me, just for a second, but long enough for me to notice. "Meyer and Chris from marketing," she said. "Just some people." "You don't know them." That answer sat wrong with me, but the truth was a lot had been sitting wrong for months. Ever since her promotion 6 months earlier, things had shifted. She had a new work crowd now, louder people, flashier people. The kind of people who lived for stories, for photos, for being seen. Plans started appearing at the last minute. New names came up that I never met. Her phone stayed face down. Notifications popped up from contacts saved as single letters or emojis. Every detail on its own looked small. Together, they were a pattern. That is how a lot of relationships start cracking. Not with one giant scene, but with 100 tiny moments you keep explaining away because you still want to believe in the person you built your life around. For 3 years, I had been the stable part of us. I cooked. I handled bills. I kept the apartment running. I listened when she wanted to complain about work politics or office drama. I adapted my routines around our routines. I thought that was what building a relationship looked like. She used to call me her safe harbor. Standing there that night, that old version of us felt very far away. I stood up. The book slid off my lap onto the floor, but I left it there. "Look," I said, "it's a weeknight. You're dressed for a club, not a post-work drink. I'm not stupid, Sarah. Just tell me straight. What's the plan? Are you going back out?" She turned to face me then, and there was no guilt in her expression, no softness, just frustration, like I was interrupting something more interesting than our relationship. "Why does everything have to be an interrogation with you?" "It's not an interrogation. I'm asking a normal question." "Yes," she snapped. "Meyer and some of the others are heading to Lux. I said I'd meet them." I stared at her. "It's after 11. So when are you coming home?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it, just contempt. "What, do I have a curfew now? God, you are suffocating sometimes." That word landed hard. Not because it was loud, because it was clear. "Suffocating," I repeated, "for waiting up, for asking if you're safe." She grabbed her clutch again and checked her reflection in the dark microwave door. "Maybe if you had a life of your own, you wouldn't be so obsessed with mine." That had become one of her favorite lines lately. Get a life of your own. As if the life I had spent 3 years building with her was some kind of weakness. As if loyalty was just dependency with nicer packaging. I took a slow breath. So you're going to Lux, I said, and you'll be back when? She spun around, eyes bright with challenge. I don't know when it's over, when I feel like coming home. Then she stepped closer and said the sentence that ended everything. Let's get one thing clear. I'm a grown woman. If I want to spend the night out, I don't owe you an explanation. Not to you, not to anyone. The room went still. Those words were not just about that night. They were bigger than that. They were her view of the whole relationship. Every check-in, every concern, every shared expectation, every small piece of mutual accountability. She threw all of it out in one line and acted like I was unreasonable for ever thinking it mattered. Let's be honest, that is not independence. That is contempt wearing the mask of freedom. I looked at her for a long second, not at the woman I had loved, but at the person standing in front of me now. Defensive. Entitled. Already halfway out the door in every way that mattered, and then something inside me went quiet, not rage, not panic, not heartbreak, at least not yet, just a strange stillness. The noise stopped, the confusion stopped, the need to argue stopped. I nodded once. You're right, I said calmly. You don't. I saw the flicker in her face. She thought she had won. She thought I was backing down. Then I added, and then neither do I. She blinked, confused for half a second, then rolled her eyes like I was being childish. Whatever, she said. Don't wait up. And then she left. The door shut behind her with a heavy final sound. After that, the apartment was silent again, but it was a different silence now. Not the silence of waiting, the silence of a decision. I stood there for maybe 5 minutes, just breathing. Her perfume still hung in the air with the smoke from someone else's night. Her words kept replaying in my head. I don't owe you an explanation. The more I heard them, the clearer they became. They were not just an insult. They were instructions, so I followed them. I went into the bedroom and pulled my old suitcase down from the closet shelf. Then I found the leftover moving boxes we had kept from the last apartment. I did not touch her things. I did not break anything. I did not pace or cry or send angry texts. I just started packing. Clothes first, shoes, belts, jackets. Then books, records, headphones, laptop, documents, the little toolbox my dad gave me years ago, the ceramic mug I made in college that she used to tease me about. I packed the parts of my life that were actually mine. Around 1 in the morning, my phone buzzed, a text from her. Maya's phone is dead, charging at the bar. Just so you don't send the cops. Having fun, don't be mad. I looked at the screen and felt nothing warm. The old version of me would have replied, told her to stay safe, maybe asked if she needed a ride home. That version was gone. I set the phone down and kept packing. Then I changed her contact name from Sarah to just S. It sounds small, but sometimes healing starts with tiny acts of distance. I opened the banking app and transferred my half of the most recent paycheck into my own savings account. Then I kept going. My PlayStation, my laptop bag, my favorite knives. My books from the shared shelf, leaving gaps behind like missing teeth. By 4 in the morning, everything important was stacked by the front door. The apartment looked strange, not destroyed, just selectively emptied. My side of the life was gone. Hers was still there. I sat at the kitchen counter with a notepad. For a minute, I just stared at the blank page. There were so many things I could have said. Angry things, sad things, questions, accusations, explanations. But under the rule she had just announced, none of that mattered anymore. So I wrote 5 words. Out indefinitely. No explanation needed. I left the note on the counter and went to make coffee while the sky started turning gray outside. At 6 in the morning, my friend Leo pulled up in his truck. I had texted him earlier with just 4 words. Need a favor. Urgent. He showed up without asking questions. That is what real friendship looks like sometimes. Not speeches. Just presence. He helped me carry the boxes downstairs and load everything into the truck bed. When we were done, I locked the apartment one last time and dropped the key through the mail slot. As we pulled away, Leo glanced over at me. "You okay?" I looked out at the empty morning streets and said, "I will be." And for the first time all night, I believed it. The new place was a furnished studio across town. Small, bright, clean, no shared memories, no framed photos. No ghost of old arguments in the corners. It smelled like clean sheets and fresh paint and absolutely nothing else. That silence felt different too. It was not loss. It was space. As soon as Leo left, I blocked her number. Then I blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, everywhere. I cut every digital thread before the old habit in me could start asking for one more conversation, one more explanation, one more chance to be misunderstood. By 8 that morning, I was gone from her life in every place that mattered. The first 2 days were the hardest in a quiet way. I kept listening for a door that would never open. I kept reaching for my phone to send her some small thing, a billboard joke, a dinner question, a stupid thought from the day. Those habits do not die instantly. They twitch like phantom limbs. Each time it happened, I made myself do something for me instead. I unpacked another box, went for a run, cooked a meal for one, read a chapter of a book I liked. Little by little, I started teaching my brain that peace did not need her approval. That is the part many people skip. Leaving is one decision, living after leaving is 100 more. For the first day, there was no sign from her. Then on the second evening, an unknown number called. I let it ring. A voicemail came through. I deleted it without listening. On the third day, I got a text from another number. "This is Maya. Sarah is freaking out. What the hell did you do?" "Call her." I stared at the message for a moment. What the hell did you do? That was the story they were already telling. Sarah goes out. Sarah says something cruel. I disappear. Therefore, I am the unstable one. People like that never notice the chain of cause and effect when it points back at them. I blocked that number too. About a week later, I had to log into the shared cloud drive to download an old lease PDF. While I was there, I saw a recently uploaded screenshot. It was a text conversation from Sarah's phone with someone saved as Jfire. He had texted her around noon the day after she stayed out. "Last night was wild. You good?" She replied, "I'm not good. My boyfriend moved out. He took everything." Then she asked if she could see him that night because she did not want to be alone. His reply came 25 minutes later. "Hectic week. Swamped. Maybe next week." That told me everything I needed to know. So that was the guy, or one of them. The exciting new connection, the freedom, the late-night energy, the reason I had become suffocating. And now that the fun had turned into consequences, he was suddenly busy. I downloaded the lease and logged out of the cloud for the last time. Later that week, Leo told me a mutual friend had run into Sarah's crowd. According to them, she was telling people I had some kind of breakdown and emptied the apartment out of jealousy over her work friends. She was painting herself as the victim and me as the unstable boyfriend who could not handle her having a social life. I just shrugged. "Let her." Leo studied me for a second. "You're weirdly calm about all this." "It's not calm," I told him. "It's clarity." 3 weeks after I left, an email came through from her. Subject line, practical matters. The message said we needed to discuss the lease, the rent, and the removal of my remaining furniture. The tone was clipped and formal, like she was trying to drag me back into a normal conversation where she still had leverage. I did not reply to her directly. Instead, I emailed the property management company, copied her, and formally relinquished my part of the lease. I attached the documents they needed and stated clearly that future communication about the apartment should go to Sarah, as the remaining occupant. Less than a minute later, my inbox filled with her replies. "Do not do this. We need to discuss. You can't just disappear and dump this on me." That was the first time I smiled. She had mistaken my silence for uncertainty. It was not uncertainty, it was completion. I created a filter that sent every email from her straight into an archive folder. I never opened them again. A month after I left, she got through on another unblocked number and left me a voicemail. Her voice was shaky, crying. She said the apartment was too empty, that she could not sleep, that what I did was cruel. She said she had been drunk and stressed and stupid. She said the guy meant nothing. She said I was her real life. Then she asked the one thing she had said no one owed anyone, an explanation. I listened once, standing in my studio kitchen with a cup of coffee in my hand. And the hypocrisy of it was almost too perfect. She wanted the exact thing she had declared unnecessary the night she walked out. I deleted the voicemail and blocked that number too. 2 days later, Maya called me. The second I answered, she launched in. Do you have any idea what you've done? She's a wreck. You ghosted her over one stupid fight. What is wrong with you? I waited until she was done. Then I said, she established the rules. I followed them. There was a pause. What are you talking about? I repeated Sarah's words exactly. If I want to spend the night out, I don't owe you an explanation. Then I added, she was very clear. I applied the principle equally. The discussion is over. Maya called me insane, said I was twisting Sarah's words to punish her. I told her I was not punishing anyone. I was responding to what I had been told, clearly and directly. Then I ended the call and blocked that number too. 8 weeks after I left, the last part happened. I was leaving the gym on a Saturday morning when someone stepped directly into my path. I looked up and saw Sarah. She looked rough in a way I had never seen before. Hair tied back carelessly, eyes tired, hoodie too large for her frame. Whatever polished, controlled version of herself she had been carrying around these past months was slipping. You left me, she said. Not hello, not can we talk. Just an accusation. I took one earbud out. I left the situation you described, I said. She stared at me like I was speaking another language. You left everything. No, I said evenly. I acted on the terms you gave me. Her face twisted. That's not fair. That was one moment. You took it out of context. At that point, what would you have done? Because for me, there was no context big enough to save that sentence. Not after the months leading up to it. Not after the contempt in her face when she said it. No punishment, I told her. No revenge, just precedent. I stepped to the side, but she reached for my arm. Wait, we have to talk about the deposit, about us. I looked down at her hand until she pulled it back. There is no us, I said. There is you and there is me. The connection you're talking about ended the night you decided basic respect was optional. That was when her face changed. The sadness vanished. The anger underneath it came through clean and hot. You're a heartless bastard, she hissed. I hate you. I hope you end up alone forever. And oddly enough, hearing that gave me peace, because there it was, no mask. No victim story. No social media version, just the truth. She did not miss me, she missed access. She missed certainty. She missed the man who stayed up, cooked dinner, paid attention, worried, and kept showing up no matter how little she gave back. I put my earbud back in and walked to my car. I did not look back. And that was the end of it. Not because every feeling vanished overnight. Not because it did not hurt. It did hurt. In quiet ways, in delayed ways, in random moments when memory tried to dress the past in softer clothes than it deserved. But the important part was this. I never went back. I think that is what saved me. Because sometimes the person you love does not leave all at once. Sometimes they fade out while still standing right beside you. And by the time the final moment comes, the real heartbreak has already been happening for months. What I lost that night was not a perfect relationship. It was the illusion that respect could survive without accountability. Lesson 1. If someone treats basic communication like control, the relationship is already in trouble. Lesson 2. Freedom in a relationship is not the same thing as disrespect. Lesson 3. When a person tells you they owe you nothing, believe them and act accordingly. Lesson 4. Peace often begins when you stop chasing explanations from someone who has already checked out. Lesson 5. Walking away without drama is still strength. So what would you have done in that apartment that night? Would you have stayed and tried one more time, or would that sentence have ended it for you too? And have you ever had to leave someone not because of one big betrayal, but because their attitude finally made the truth impossible to ignore?